This is our mountain culture, our mountain history, and sights of our people. How they lived, how they survived, how they worked, how they raised their families. And if you want to know anything about Appalachia, you'll find it in this place. Such history recorded here and preserved. Beautiful old dwellings and all the stuff they needed to live with. And it's like stepping back in time. So let's look at our culture and our history of these mountains. Howdy friends. I'm here at the Museum of Appalachia today, here in Norris, Tennessee, just below Norris Dam, Anderson County. Beautiful place. Just exploring some of our old history of our people, taking a lot of photos and videos. And I hope you enjoy me sharing these little things with you of how our people used to be in these mountains. A lot of people out of these mountains up north and away from here, up from these mountains, don't understand how they lived here, how this history's being forgotten. So I thought I'd share with you of just how they really lived in these mountains. Our people, this is how our people lived in these mountains of Appalachia, from West Virginia all the way down to Alabama. You can go back in time here, over 100 years, up to 200 years, the stuff they've got here. A lot of these places have been relocated throughout the Appalachians and moved here over time and rebuilt. And it's just fascinating to see this kind of stuff if you've never seen how the people of Appalachia lived back in the old days. Even here's a little old shanty shack from back during the Depression they put in here. And just look inside, you're just seeing history of how it really was. Truly, it's like stepping back in time. How they lived, how they stored stuff and made stuff. This is old, authentic stuff from these mountains that's been collected over time and placed in these cabins. And all the history that you see here. These old sites are just awesome to see. You step in these old places and you just think of the people that used this stuff. And you step in these old homes, and this is how people lived back years and years ago, before any modern technology really. But they got along just fine. It was just hard work and a lot of good times with family back in them days. It was a simple life. And this is all authentic stuff. Even the old beds are used. Look there, one right over the other. And upstairs in these ones that's got upstairs in them, little bedrooms, And some homes, it's got little airways in between the houses in there, and the old fireplaces of all different types. Some are works of art, craftsmanship. But this is their stoves really started out before they come out with the stoves. This is how they cooked. These old places are well documented. Now this is supposed to be a replica of Boone's cabin. Back in the early 1700s. Look at the dirt floor and the old bed. Chairs and benches stacked on rocks. Simple life. And this dirt floor, it got hard as concrete at times. I've seen old places with floors like this. And these old places just fascinates me in my mind of what they looked like back then. This is an old schoolhouse. Of the probably 150, 200 years ago, an old country school. And they had their own bathrooms, boys on one side, girls on the other, a little outhouse. These places had to be cold in the wintertime and burning up in the summer. Simple little schoolhouse. And an old church too here. This is the really early days of the church, when they settled these mountains. Old wooden benches, an old stove, the old pulpit. Looking back in time, this is a lot older than Cage Cove. The Holy Bible. And these people had these little corn cribs out back around their home, the farm. Little out back for their animals and sheds. And little gardens they always had out, guys. This is how they lived. They raised everything, made their own. Even made their own molasses out of sugarcane. This is a picture of how they done it. Put it in there and it just ground it up. And they had all kinds of workshops in here. Of all kinds. These people back here were on their own, so they made their own. This is a little broom shop. All the tools they got and had to make it with. Now, these were craftsmen back in these mountains because they were on their own most of the time. They had to make their own. Here's an old blacksmith shop. See the big old bellows there? The charcoal. They made everything they needed for the farms and the wagons, and horseshoes, and tools. And here's an old sawmill. One of the early ones. They still use it for exhibition from here to there. This is just how they worked. They adjusted the log on there and slid it back down through there on that pulley system, and it cut off the width that they set it on the log. And yes, they made their own moonshine too. That come into here in these mountains when they did. And all the old barns and the way they used to do things before the modern machinery. They've got all the old stuff here. All the old machineries and of all kinds before the modern equipment. Even the old tractors. Times have gone by. And the old mill, it wasn't accessible to me at the time. And it's really just for exhibition. It don't work. But ain't it beautiful, an old mill? But here's how it does work. Water turns the wheel turns the gears, pivots up to turns the millstones that grinds the corn and make their cornmeal. And here's the wheels, the grindstones of all types they got here in their museum. And here is how they actually work. The corn goes in the top, turns it into the millstones, the corn falls down between the stones, and it grinds it into your cornmeal. Now they used to, and they still do, 4th of July, they have an amble shoot to celebrate the Independence Day on the 4th of July. They put black powder between 2 ambles, and this amble's over 100 pounds. Shoots it up over 100 feet in the air. I didn't get to witness this, or I'd have film of it. And they even got replicas, the real thing they've acquired in these mountains from these old jails. Old jail cells here. This is what they was and what they look like. Here next to the museum. You imagine being confined in these jail cells like this for months, if not years. They even had the old chain gangs back in them days. And inside the museum, there's so much history here of real stuff they've acquired out of these mountains over time. All the churns, barrels, handmade, beehives, you name it, buckets. You could go on and on. I'll just share a few with you. I took so many pictures. There's so many exhibitions and exhibits in this museum of all kinds of stuff that they used in these mountains back then. Here are the old drawer knives of all kinds of old hammers they had. And they made all their baskets hand weaved them. There's a lot of craftsmanship in these mountains, and this is the art that's slowly dying off. Here's an old exhibit of a country store. A lot of you can remember stuff like this in it. I know I can when I was little. What they looked like, what was inside them, what they sold. Just like stepping back in time. All the little candy jars, the old scales, an old barber chair. Wonder how many people's had their hair cut sitting in that chair over time. And yep, they've got the old gunsmiths in here too exhibit. All kinds of handmade rifles. And all the tools they went with them. Black powder. So much history. Here we got an exhibit right here of the blacksmiths. How they made the rifles, the stocks. And how they rifled the barrel. I thought that was amazing right there. Big auger there drilling in back and forth into that barrel. Making the rifling. Now, most of this stuff has just been acquired out of these mountains over time, or it'd be gone. Nobody would know it, would never see it again. And there it is. Big old auger drill. A rifle and a barrel. And all kinds of exhibits in here. Here's traps where they done trapping in these mountains, around the rivers, creeks. They made a living off these burrs a long time. There was good money at one time in these mountains. There's a bear trap, and that's a big one. And here's a site map of the area, the museum. There's so much history here just to be seen. That's actual, real stuff from our time back. And it was founded in '69 by John Rice Irwin. Sad to say he died in the winter of 2022 this spring, just before spring, and he dedicated his life to preserving our history out of these mountains. And it's such a beautiful place. It's a place that if you want to step back in time of how our ancestors in these mountains actually lived and how they provided and worked. So I want to thank you for watching. God bless every one of you, and I hope you enjoy these little Appalachia stories. So take care, and I'll see you next time.